Okay, I guess I better move little car into position. I've cleared out the front of the shed, so yes, as you can see I've been putting stuff from inside the garage in here for the time being. And old tyres and things that came off when I put the mags on, I can strip them down for scrap now. New tyres for the micro, monitors, bits and pieces, it's all good. Anyway, let's see if she wants to start. She was misfiring the other day because I think I got water in the distributor when I was cleaning. I cleaned the whole engine bay about a couple of weeks ago. Not doing it now, but I think there's a tiny bit of moisture build up in the dizzy. We'll have a look at that when everything's apart. And I'll fix that heat shield underneath too. All that rattling. It's just the exhaust manifold heat shield or the mid muffler. Certain frequencies doesn't do it, certain revs. Yes, it doesn't rattle now. What's the easiest way of doing this? Don't hit the micro. Try and hit the air conditioners. Perfect. Drive-in service. Still a good responsive engine, it's just a shame it uses a bit of oil. Oh, there's a misfire, I just heard it. Yeah, I heard every now and then there's a little pop, but I believe it's water in the dizzy. So that was the last major thing I did, was wash the entire engine bay down. I still got to fix that up. But as you can see, no rust from washing it. There is some water in here, but that's because A, that window was open for a while, and B, there's backup in the tray under the firewall where the HVAC system draws fresh air in, and it's coming down through the back of the firewall. That's the reason why all the carpets and everything were growing, like literally growing legs and arms and things. It was pretty rank in here. So yeah, not a bad radiator, that one. I'm not going to pop that just yet. That's a Camry SV21 radiator. Still serviceable, it's just old. Replaced as a precautionary measure. Anyway. Alright, as you can see, things are a lot cleaner now. This car was covered in oil from that rocker cover leak. Same with the auto, that was caked in oil. The auto seems to be pretty good actually. At first I thought it was slipping, but it turns out it was just losing traction on the grass. It'd bite and slip, and just give the impression of a slipping auto, but the fluid in it's heaps better than the stuff in the Ford Fairmont that I got, and even then we managed to salvage that. Not that this car can be re-registered, technically it has a scrap title on it. The mechanic, or the place that disposed of it, took it to the scrap metal yard first, and they put it through the books. So unfortunately, because I picked it up from the scrap yard, it's officially written off. Destruction title, technically. I'm supposed to chisel the VIN plates off and hand them in with the paperwork to Smorgon Steel, whoever takes it, or hang on to the VIN plates and hand in a certificate to Smorgon stating that the vehicle's been decommissioned properly, like fluids drained, no LPG tanks, that sort of thing. Anyway, I've got to remove all of this and get the rocker cover off. So throttle cable, intake, there's the mass airflow meter there, we'll have a look at that. We'll just have a look at how some of this works. That's one of the reasons why I got this car, was so that I could use it to demonstrate certain things, and I simply haven't had time recently, but I will today. The air conditioning's still low on charge. One of these caps, this cap was sort of like that, and I don't know if you heard it, but there's a little bit of a hiss just as I broke that free, because that Schrader core is leaking, and they just sort of done it up like that and it's leaked out. So tighten the caps up and the charge stays in there. Yeah, there's a compressor down there. It's all made in Korea. These are made by Kia Motors. I know some people think they're made by Ford, but they aren't. There's one engine mount there. Where's the other one? There's another engine mount in there somewhere. Maybe that end's unsupported, but there'll be two front and rear on the rear underbelly cross member. And there's usually one more down here. Oh, there's the underbelly cross member, so it's 3 mounts. 1, 2, 3. They're not hard to get the engines out of these things. The whole power pack comes out as one. You just disconnect your CV shafts, disconnect all the ancillaries, pull your radiator and stuff out, and chain her up and hoist her out. There's really not much to it. Yeah, as I suspected with the distributor, there's water under the boots. Like, I just pulled that off and drips of water are coming out of it. That one's cracked and tracing. So I'll just pull it all to bits and give it a clean. You can also see whitish oxide marks, particularly there. Signs of breakdown. Like, it's not arcing all the way through, but you're losing current. A lot of that whiteness is just tracing, particularly there, that black. That's burning through, probably to the other lead that it was once strapped up against. I pulled these out of the clip after it started misfiring and just teased them out so that they were separated from each other. But yeah, the leads are shot. Pretty much everything will be. I'm guessing the dizzy cap and the rotor button won't be much better. And yeah, there's water in there. It's gotten down through the cap end. Yeah, so always make sure your ignition gear is completely dry, and then suspect things like spark plugs. You can pull the leads off like that and let the increase the spark gap so your secondary coil voltage increases before it breaks through, and then you'll help clear a buggered plug. I was just talking to a friend by the YouTube name Cool Blue Lights. He has a Hyundai version of this car, probably a similar vintage, and he was going through just pulling leads and things off, and he actually found it started firing when he did that. And that's because your secondary coil voltage goes up and it helps break through any carbon and crap on the failing plug. It's a neat little trick to try out if you've got an engine that misfires on one cylinder. Helps you find which one too. Once you pull it off and it still does nothing, well, there's your problem. Of course, use chicken pliers, plastic pliers, or a set of metal pliers with a ground lead connected to the pliers to the chassis, so if it does arc over, it doesn't give you a belt. Because these things hurt. They hurt a lot. I've been zapped by ignition coils before, and even old low tension magnetos, and they hurt like hell. Yeah, one thing I need to mention is that the engine in this car is not really worth salvaging, not just because of the title, but also that damaged boot down there is for the steering rack. So that's all shredded. Need a new steering rack, a new heater core. I've had to bypass the old one. The engine cooling system, just driving it in here at the time, brought the cooling system up to a bit of pressure. Now that's odd for an engine which is only lukewarm, so I'm guessing there's an ever so slight head gasket leak. It's putting a little bit of gas pressure from the cylinders into the cooling system. And likewise, the rest of the interior is all shot. The interior is gone now. It's just not worth the effort to put a car like this back on the road, even though it seems to run nice. A lot of people ask me why don't I do it, but the simple reason is it's just not worth it. It really isn't. So anyway, you can see it's been ingesting a bit of blow-by oil and gas and stuff. I might give that a quick wipe out and clean with a carby cleaner. I'm going to have to take that bloody clip off. They're tight little bastards, these things. Not very nice. Oh, almost there. The throttle cable just unhooks after taking the bracket off. Really straightforward. I just noticed a Mitsubishi logo on the throttle body, so that's an outsourced part. I believe this engine is a clone of a Mazda or Ford Laser type engine, which are basically the same thing. 1300cc 4-cylinder, belt-driven timing. Yeah, I'm just loosening these bolts off and getting them out. The throttle body certainly looks pretty nasty, but that's typical. Never been cleaned, probably never once in the car's life. Now, one thing about a bit of milky gunk under the cap doesn't always mean a blown head gasket or coolant leak into the crankcase. That's typical of a car that does very short trips. In this case, this car's done about 6 or 8 kilometres since I've had it, and it's all been very short runs. So that's why there's moisture build up on there and the PCV. The real test is down here on the dipstick, and I don't see any. If I start getting that milky gunk on the dipstick, then I'm worried. It'd be time to retire a little car if that was the case, or at least when the engine finally quits. Not that I go far enough to worry about a breakdown, it's just a matter of getting it out of the backyard if it dies down the back corner. I'd have to attach a tow rope to something else and drag it out. Anyway, I'll get this cover off and I'll have a look. There's no gasket adhesion there, I've just loosened the bolts off and it's just loose. I'm going to take them out too. Good chance to look at the timing belt. Yeah, that's the airflow meter that they run. It looks like a hot sensor or hot wire type. You can see there's a little ceramic blade in there with a resistive coating on it. That has a very fine electrical current pass through it to warm it up. Now, the more air that flows over it, the cooler it gets, the more the resistance changes, or it should go up. The resistance increases the cooler it gets, and the ECU registers that as an input, a scaling thing to control the EFI. Also looks like there's another little sensor or something down there at the back on the inlet side, thermistor or something, but that's just the top of the airbox. Pretty neat. There's also what looks like the airflow, another air temp sensor or something like that. Not too sure what that does or what's the point, because there's already one in there. I'll put that somewhere safe. I don't think I've had this cleaner out ever. Yeah, it's seen better days. I'll blow that out with the air gun. Not that there's really much point. It's still reasonable. I'd replace it if it was a road car, but for a backyard car, at least it's not plugged up with leaves and grass and all that other crap. I've seen much worse. Now, there we go, the lid's off. It's not too bad inside. Bit of condensation and stuff from short runs, but that's to be expected. It's not in the oil, it's not on dipstick. I'm not concerned about coolant leaks getting into it, and even if there were, nothing you can really do about it. You can see there's a backing plate on the back there for an older model, which probably would have had a mechanical fuel pump. It had to run off a cam on the end of the camshaft. Timing belt looks okay, but I can't actually get that cover off without taking the engine mount and everything off, so it doesn't matter. It looks good enough for me. I will do the distributor though. I'll clean all the water and crap out of it, even find some better leads, just so it doesn't misfire and kill itself. Throttle body's a bit cleaner, just a very quick clean. Open it up and wipe around in there with a rag, get all the dirt off where the butterfly closes and on the edges of the butterfly. It'll probably idle a bit higher now, but we can adjust that. Apart from that, I'm just going to pop this old gasket out and put a load of goo on it, stick it all back together again. That's all I'm doing today, and that's all that needs to be done. I do have about 3 or 4 bottles of 2050 Rosal oil, which I think is made by, can't remember, who makes Rosal Repco branded stuff. I'll think of it. It's a reputable supplier. It's not Castrol or anything like that. It's HPR. Who makes HPR? Penrite. I think Penrite make it. Yeah. Either way, I might just do a quick oil change. Hell, I might even have a filter on the shelf somewhere. Pretty sure I got some for the Toyota engine. I've got one for the Nissan, but I want to keep that. Nissan engine's the same capacity, but it's a double overhead cam, chain-driven system. It's a totally different animal. I'll have to show it one day. We'll take the cover off and have a look at it. Probably all hydraulic, valve lash adjustment and everything. There's nothing to adjust in here until it gets oil pressure. These are just noisy. You get tick, tick, tick. But they're all hydraulic roller tappets, roller rockers, similar things. One's for overhead cam and one's for overhead valve pushrod engines. I always get the two confused. I believe these would be rockers because they're on the tappets because they're on the camshaft, whereas rockers were pushrod driven. The cam's down the bottom of the engine, you have pushrods coming up from underneath. Like I said before, I'm not an expert on cars. Brad's the expert on cars. Go subscribe to V8 Jagnut if you want expert car work videos. And I mean expert, like some things do stump him sometimes, but just the level of detail and just being completely anal about changing stuff is really good. Like this radiator's old, it's not leaking, but he'd change it anyway on a major service. Same with all the hoses, not just a few, do all of them. All the filters, crankcase this nasty, you'd probably do an oil change shortly after the one that he does on the major service. Yeah, top bloke. Knows his cars very, very well, particularly Mercedes-Benz, Jag, expensive stuff. Well, I have no idea why I have another Z79A on the shelf, but the funny thing is, it's the one I need for this car, and this one is way too old. Thankfully it only took half a turn by hand just to get it loose, unlike what Brad was ranting about this morning on one of his videos where somebody applied one like they were applying a cylinder head bolt. Like you had to demolish it, and it had only been put on there about a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, oil the seal before it goes on, just like this one, and do it up hand tight. Don't get the wrench out and reef on it. Just spin it on there. It's only an oil filter. It's not going to come loose once you've tightened it by hand, and at least it means you don't need to get a wrench in there to try and get it off again. And this thing's been on way too long. I'm surprised it was so easy to get off, but they installed it properly. It wasn't leaking, and it just spun straight off. Very good. I guess the little car will get a new filter and some oil.